Hey everyone, welcome to the Palouse Playbook. We've got Gavin, Chad, Joel, and you got me, Kyle, here. Guys, college football is back. I mean,
Yes, it is.
yeah. Quick,
Yep.
I mean,
We're back.
I mean, it sure started last week, but Coug football started. To me, that's when this thing kicks off. So I am so excited to start this with everybody, under the Up West Sports umbrella. It's been a fun ride just with the Mariners, and I can't wait to pivot and start talking a little bit of Coug football. So kind of want to start off with just this is a different team. I mean, it's a complete flip. We've got Mr. Rogers at the helm now, and we just saw the recent depth chart come out, and it was kind of a little tip to the cap of Mr. Mike Leach with the good old or and if thens or buts, and again, Mike Leach, he was the enigma. And that was just kind of the way he rolled. But I kind of like to take your guys' take. Do we see this being maybe a smoke and mirrors, or is it really just there? Like it's just, hey, you can take it away and move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's smoke and mirrors at all. I think if like any team you played on, and like a good team you've seen, like the Seattle Seahawks, Mike Leach's teams in the past, you want to create a level of competition across the team, right? You don't want to just hand roles over. You want to make sure it's earned, and that's for a lot of guys. It could come to like that last practice before the game, coaches see something, but yeah, at the QB position, you really feel like that's Zevy's to lose. I really like where he's at, especially with his experience with the offense. The three other guys are new in that offense, but you also have to look at the opponent we have this week. I mean, knock on wood. I mean, it should be an opportunity for the coaches to see multiple positions. So that's maybe why they have that posted. So excited to see, obviously, Zevy, but, beyond that, Potter and Duggar, I mean, I feel like those are guys that can be like a nice change of pace and see where they fit in the offense long term.
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of that. I think it's Zevy's to definitely lose, just with everything that we saw in the one game that it was his last year, and we faced a pretty good Syracuse team, and you got to see him ball out a little bit and play with some guys that are coming back, some guys that are still leaving and everything, but he's got a whole new core under him. I did want to give a little bit of a shout out to this depth chart that came out. We have a true freshman that has actually made it on here, and there might be a couple more, but I wanted to actually give a shout out to Carter Pabst, the wide receiver. I wanted to give him a shout out because you don't see too many, freshmen that are coming in, especially that were originally committed to South Dakota State and getting flipped over to Wazoo from a small town. I believe it was Nebraska, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm excited to see what he can do. I'm excited to see what this offense can do. And now kind of switching gears a little bit to a potentially non-air raid offense and more so a running back or just running heavy. And we're getting two really good running backs mixed with Leo Pulalasi, Tacoma guy, 253, went to Lincoln High School. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what we have, and we're finally getting to see that true test come this week. And yeah, I think it's Zevy's to lose, and that's kind of the big topic.
And I completely agree. I think it is Zevy's to lose, especially with giving him his due from the bowl game. But I wouldn't be shocked. Again, we're looking at a different. I mean, he is a mobile. I would call him a dual threat. But you've got Shepard. Could we see potentially a package for another quarterback for a run situation, short down situations? I think it's exciting. I think to me there's a lot of possibilities, and I think it's exciting. So the House of Horrors, as we've called the defense, Joel, I'd love to get kind of your spin on what you've seen kind of from the tape.
Sure. Yeah, so far I'm just looking at everything. I mean, there was definitely some gaps, and you can tell with how many they had transfer in. It's that front middle, the defensive line, especially the defensive tackles. As I was watching everything, I hate to be biased, but being a defensive lineman, there are certain things I would see. I'm like, okay, there's some flashes, it looks good, and then there's some stuff I'm like, oh man, it's like you can become the weakest link of the defense. Contain is huge, and you can just see those moments. Both in the Syracuse game after players had transferred, and just overall, you can see it's like teams were strategizing just to take that edge from them every single time. So yeah, overall though, defense, I mean, from the bits that I could see, especially from the transfers, quite honestly, from South Dakota State, I think it's gonna be a plus. I think it's gonna help them overall. And it's looking good. I would say it's definitely gonna be strong in the secondary. And there's a lot of tweeners that I'm seeing, but it makes sense that they're looking at doing a 4-2-5 along with a basic package with 4-3. So a lot of
Joel, I agree with you there. Defense last year, especially in the front seven, was always just a weak point on our team, and it really just killed us across the board. Offense would a lot of time have a lot of 3-and-outs because we were throwing the ball 60-70% of the time each game. Do you find that, this year, knowing or have an idea that we have that 50-50 split, maybe even a 60% running game, do you think that can help our defensive line, our defensive front, even if it's not improved? Could we look better, though, in theory, with our offense staying on the field longer?
Good point. Absolutely. Yeah. Just being able to, especially from a defensive lineman perspective, to be able to have enough breath, it takes far more time, obviously, for run game. And it is much appreciated when you're playing, you're cashing back and forth. So, yeah, I do. I think it'll make a big difference. And, I think it'll play to their strengths. There's some bits and pieces that there's even some individuals that I'm like, if I was not this matters, but if I was a coach, I'm like, yeah, this person might be better at this position versus that. But yeah, I think it'll work out pretty well for the defensive line overall, having that run game offense.
Yeah, because I feel like our secondary's the same, if not better, going into this year. I feel like it could be very good. And just you have to imagine with us actually being able to run the ball effectively, we should be in a lot better shape. We should be. I mean, I actually, like, it's my surprise. Like, I kind of ranked like different skill positions, and I did it simple. I was like, better, same, worse. And I actually put linebackers D line as the same. And it's not necessarily the ability, or I don't even know if we got bigger, but I just think we're going to be in a better position.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what it looks like, though.
Definitely got some weight in there now.
Yeah.
I think a big part you see too is the class. Like, you're seeing a lot more upperclassmen. I think before we were having a lot more sophomores. I mean, you might have a redshirt freshman in there, and I think you can see. I mean, we're getting those transfers in that they're redshirt seniors. I mean, so they've got some experience, and I think that even coming from a Division I AA, I mean, I think out there that's still big ball. I mean, I think those guys probably had a chance to probably play Division I football and good Division I football, but their success and there is track record of even playing at a Division I AA where they are successful year after year. I mean, we've talked about the running backs. I mean, Jimmy Roberts talked about, this guy would have been the starter last year if he didn't have a pro in front of him. And then I think it was Amar Johnson last year, and then it was. I'm drawing the blank on the one prior to him, but I mean, we talk about being QBU for what we've produced, into the NFL. The running backs that were coming out of South Dakota State have been very well. They've journeyed and they've been successful. So it's like, does he bring that over here? And also, it's a different world of a defensive-minded coach. So I think to me that's exciting, because watching our defense get absolutely killed on, or QB checks, RPO. How about wrapping up once in a while? I mean, I'm hoping we see a change. And I think, while we've been this offensive-minded, team for well over a decade, I think it's refreshing. So I'm really excited about that. Any last thoughts on that?
No, yeah. I mean, yeah. Go ahead, Joel.
No, sorry about that. I would say, you started the conversation, just talking about, like, is it smoke and mirrors, or there seems like there's cohesion. It seems like, quite honestly, from the little bits I've seen, just from the interviews, from like when they wrapped up spring ball and everything, like, they're actually coming together. Like you said, a lot of seasoned folks, especially with transfers coming in, but where naturally it normally can be very competitive, they actually feel like a unit. Just from the conversations that were shared, there was a funny point talking about Ram Stevenson, about his love for Legos. And it was like, but it was another D lineman talking about it. It was like, oh yeah, I'm going to have to get into it, because obviously Ram, like, you can just tell without him saying, hey, Ram's our leader, it was just a natural step. And so I don't know what the coaches are doing, but it sounds like all the players feel like they're genuine. We feel like, hey, this is the right group to bring us together. So I don't know if you guys are feeling that too. I was impressed.
I feel that camaraderie, and I was lucky to actually like speak with Jimmy Rogers too. Shout out to Marco Polo Bar in South Seattle. He did a couple of um, Cougar events there, and I mean, and he talked about how like the team gelled pretty quick, and I kind of just pushed a little bit further. And if you look at their roster and do a little bit deeper dive, if you look at their roster, 75 new people on that team. That sounds like a lot. 25 of them are freshmen. That's standard for every team across the board. You look at majority of teams these days, they're going to have 40 guys go in and out. I think we're actually in a lucky spot where 22 of those guys are coming from the same exact school, South Dakota State. So, like, if you think about that gelling and camaraderie is going to come quickly. And then you look across the board defensively. We brought in 2 guys from New Mexico State. We brought in 2 guys, I believe, from Cal Poly. So, I mean, it was a lot of different guys, but I feel like it was a concentrated schools that we actually plucked from. So you have to really and one thing that I really feel really great about is just Jimmy and just the way he speaks to people too. And it's not like a canned response or anything. I feel like he's just genuine and he's going to give you straight honesty. And you can see he does that with his players. And like, especially the day and age in college football with recruiting, you have to be real with the guys too. So I love his approach with the team so far. Obviously, haven't played a game yet, but I'm right there with you guys. Feel good about it.
I'm right there with you with Rogers. Just knowing the guy's history, seeing him speak, haven't played a game yet. This might have been the right guy for the job, right? Like we're talking about the best guy for the job. Everybody was throwing out Montana State's head coach. There was a couple other names, big assistants at the big schools or whatever. I think this was the right guy, and in the long term, the best guy for the job. You look at his tenure. He's with South Dakota State for I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
He's about building. He's about bringing in big things. So I'm very excited to see what he can do and what he can build. Bringing over the 20 plus players from South Dakota State is a huge start. That's a program that would beat half the Pac-12 schools a couple years ago. So I'm very excited for Jimmy Rogers and company.
Yeah, when I hung out with the coaches too, the few that were there, I just jokingly said, "How's Pullman treating you?" And they said, "It's not much of a change." I said, "But we have better Asian food, right?" And they said, "Oh yeah, that you got me there."
So, a little closer to the ocean.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of, you keep going. No,
you're up.
So I want to talk about experience. I want to talk about experiences. So Coug football Saturday is changing, and I think it's changing for the better. So there was an article that came out that kind of started talking through some of the kind of new experiences you're going to see over these weekends. I've taken a chance to kind of look through. I think one of the biggest ones that I saw was kind of, the normal, walking through. I believe they used to walk through Bowler. I unfortunately never got to see any of those, but they've changed that now to go through, I believe, the RV lots, what I think is a really cool thing especially for the alumni, where, we are a destination type of place where we don't have alumni that are just 20 minutes down the road as a majority. A lot of us are having to, commute, fly, drive, sometimes snowmobile into the area to, come watch a game. So I think that's really cool. And I think it's showing a really good appreciation to the fans that are taking the sacrifices to get out there. Chad, I know you touched on a little bit, what do you think some of these experiences, just again, being an alumni there?
Well, we can't forget the biggest one. We got beer in the stadium now. We don't have to walk outside the stadium to get a beer. So I think that's huge. And if you look at what Cougar Collective has done, adding in our beer, our wine, and now our canned cocktail option, hopefully that's going to be what's served mostly in the stadium, so it goes back to the athletes. But I think that's huge. But like just looking at some highlights, like something that caught my eye that I never noticed before, like, and as a student, when I was at WSU, I was the equipment manager. So I was there at 6 a.m. and I left, 4 hours after the game finished. So it was a long day. Didn't really get to experience that till I became an alumni, but I saw camping with the Cougs. So they're doing camping with the Cougs, and then Friday night they're actually doing a tailgate at the new baseball facility. So kind of like how you mentioned, Nosey, is just they're pushing everything out into the RV lot more. I think it's making more of a fan experience. So if they're asking you to do 2 nights, there's actually stuff to do in Pullman. So I think it's a big thing. They're doing movie nights at Gisa Field Friday night too. So another reason to get the families to come down, do an outdoor movie. And right now they're tentatively planning it really for early season as the weather stays nice, and they'll probably just continue to kind of see how it goes beyond that. But yeah, beer in the stadium, better entertainment for the fans. I don't think they're. I think they're really. I mean, they're taking the program in the direction it should have gone years ago. So super excited for that. But
we're gonna have
yeah.
A&M money now. We just talk about how the Cougs like to have their fun. We will have A&M money by the end of the year. It's gonna be a good time.
Gosh. No, I mean, you say that. I mean, I would want to look at like the overall population, but like we have the alumni numbers to do it. It's just a matter of fans, stepping up and doing the 1890 club. I mean, how hard is that? $18.90 a month. I mean, like you should be donating that back to the football team if you really love it. So that's one
beer to Seahawks game nowadays.
I know, right? I'm like, that's easy.
But you think, right, is you think of like, okay, as your alumni, if I'm going to put money into this, where do I see it? Yes, you're going to put it towards the players, but you also got to put it towards the fans. You got to put it towards the people that are putting towards the money. So when you see them now going, we're bringing the experience to you, I think is another way of them showing the appreciation of, hey, we're not just asking you for money and then we just kind of say, okay, cool, just make sure the bank account stays active. Like we're giving you some dividends on your investment beyond just what you see on the field. So I think you're absolutely right. And I think now it's kind of that give and take. And hopefully we do see a change. But I think, again, like I said, it's a long time coming. You've seen you see all these other schools that have, been doing this forever, and it's a huge revenue stream. I know we joke about it because we're Cougs and there's not a lot to do in Pullman to do one thing. And, but beyond that,
I think to put it best, it's a push in the right direction, I think, at the right time, too. Like, we're changing everything we just got, the president and AD and new head coach, and we got all this new stuff coming in, and now we're doing this. I think it's a push in the right direction at the very, very right time.
Yeah, well, I'm happy we're doing it. I want to continue to see the progress. And now I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is just home games. Like, I like to travel. I like to go to games. Like, can we get a alumni designated hotel, something where we're getting like some type of Cougar special? I don't know. And then we have the tailgate there. There's just a lot of ways to do it. But you nailed it, Nolsey. Like, with new people coming, new ideas and new processes. And I mean, if you look at it, like the schools that have good football teams tend to have a high student population. They bring in transfers. They bring in a lot more money. So I think if you take care of your football team, it tends to take care of the university.
And I don't want to say anything bad about, good old Pullman water, but Pabst, dude, you've got a deal just laying there waiting for you. So become a legend, and dude, we might see a new Pullman water coming around. I don't know. But so Joel, I know you played, back, Midwest, back East. So kind of much different situations, right? Probably different tailgate experience, different college experience. Like, kind of what have you seen just from the reads of is what we're doing out here in the Palouse similar to kind of what is, or is there like some similarities, differences, obviously in demographic, but what have you seen?
It's funny that you asked that question, because I was about to ask, hey, what's weather like out there for you guys? Because as I'm listening to this about the tailgating, the camping tailgating, the camping with the Cougs, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if anybody would have done that where I was. So being in South Carolina, I mean, I know we had tailgating moments. Quite honestly, as an athlete, I didn't get a chance to directly experience it, but I had friends, within the student body that did, and I think because it was literal swampland, a lot of it would stay within the parking lot, within region of game, prior to the game, but it didn't span across multiple days. Maybe because we were a smaller school. So hearing you guys talk about this, how focused and intentional it is, and how much it's trying to impact. I'm kind of curious, not to ask a question with a question. If you guys had to guess, what is the population for that city, like local to the school? Because it might help me too, Charles.
I can answer that with a two-parter. Are you asking during school or are you asking during the summer?
It's in school and out of school.
Yeah,
Summer.
so I'll be the easiest thing. It's 34,000 in school and like 4,000 when it's not in school. That's the kind of the two-parter.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so it does affect. Yeah, it's like it was up the same where I was. I mean, folks would come in droves. Probably, I would say like spring and fall. I was like when we have different things outside of football. During football, people would come. You know, families and whatnot would take part in tailgating. But outside of that, because of the weather is so like just bipolar, it was different. You know, and also it was a smaller venue. I mean, we were, you know, FCS, D1AA is what I call it. What do you call it? FCS now. Yeah, I mean, we only had, our stadium's filled maybe like 8,000. It wasn't huge. And so the activities, extracurriculars outside of that, plus it being a Christian university, there was only so much that was happening. You know, it was a small town. People would go out to eat. The food was great around us, you know, a lot of seafood and whatnot, but not so much like hard path tradition. So what I've heard so far, I'm envious. It was great. It sounds awesome.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Well, I think on that, I think we need to pivot to kind of the, you know, it's going to be the thing that probably overarches our podcast throughout the year. And that is our kind of final year of this Pac-2 independent schedule, and kind of what do we think? What's our outlook? It is honestly, I love the look of it. I mean, you've got kind of that perfect blend of, you know, you've got some of your smaller schools, some smaller rivalries. You know, again, you've got your main rivalry, the Apple Cup in September now. But then you start kind of looking at you start getting to the East Coast. I mean, I am, you know, the Ole Miss game could be, you know, could be one of many things. I can't wait. I mean, I would love to be at that game, to see that atmosphere, SEC football. You know, we've seen things in the lawsuits of, you know, we wanted OSU and Wazoo. We'd rather have them than maybe some of the other defectors. To me, those are statement games. And those are games that you need to be like, yeah, we know. And we're going to show it regardless of what the scoreboard says. You're going to go look at that team and go, damn, maybe we should have thought twice. But I'd like to get your guys' take on kind of what you think the outlook is. And again, this is going to change from week to week, but kind of as of today, what are you looking for? What are you looking at?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule and you see a lot of teams that have roster changes, just like everybody else in the country. So it's hard to really predict, and I don't want to get too far into the weeds on it. You kind of just I like to look at like, what's Vegas saying? I think they have us at 5.5 wins or 5 wins. I have Coug fan predicting us at a 7-5 team. Fox Sports ranks us number 86 out of 136 teams in the country. So, I mean, I think we could be a bowl eligible team. 6-6 seems super reasonable to me. Like, I look at Idaho, San Diego State isn't the same team. North Texas should be a win. So you start this season 3-0, like, where does it go from there? Do we continue to improve week over week? And how do we handle UW at home? I think that'll be a big indicator for us as we go through the season. It could be far greater. Colorado State, decent team. I know they've gotten better. Ole Miss, I'll be at that game. Like, that is the game I'm looking forward to. I got a big group. Hey, if there's somebody else listening or somebody I know out there, we got one more spot open too. Yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. But it's really wonky. Like, going down to Oxford, and then we're going out to Virginia twice during the season. We're playing almost seems like every single conference in the country. So, I mean, the travel, like, what does that second half look like when it comes to the travel, and how does it affect our players? That's the one concern for me. But, you know, I'm feeling pretty positive about the team overall.
Yeah. And I'll also say, yeah, I saw that 5.5 is kind of where Vegas has us right now. And a 6-6, 7-5 is definitely in the realm. I'll be the guy that says, hey, I trust Jimmy maybe a little bit more, and I'll say 8. There's a chance for an 8-4 season, and to have a pretty decent little bowl game. I think obviously we don't know, and you started this whole thing off of where do we stand right now without any game scene, but I think just kind of looking into the first couple of games, you will see a little bit of tell against the San Diego State. That San Diego State game is going to be a little bit telling because you're getting your first FBS game. You're getting your first look at a team that's going to be in your conference for years to come, hopefully for the foreseeable future. And it could become a quick rival, could be just another opponent, but also just like that first true test at that level. No disrespect to Idaho. They're doing their own roster rebuild. They lost Eck to New Mexico, I believe, and they just got their new head coach from Oregon State. And I know he did a phenomenal job. I think they got Josh Wood, who was the Graham Kapowsin head coach or Graham Kapowsin quarterback when they beat Travis Hunter's team in that high school bowl game so many years ago and everything. It was kind of a big deal up in the Northwest, I should say. But first game, if you win that game 24-21, all right, back to the drawing board, and you got to like figure things out. If you lose, it's a bigger drawing board you got to go back to. And then obviously if you end up blowing them out, awesome. Like that's what you're supposed to do in those week ones against the FCS teams, but also again, no disrespect to Idaho, but it's going to be a nice little series. And yeah, I would say 6 to 7 wins is where they should be. I'm going to go ahead and predict 8. That's where I'll be.
Question, Gavin, is one of those wins? Is it one of those Oregon State?
One of them is Oregon State. That's and it's going to be tough because they got Malik Murphy. And they're, they got their I believe their second year head coach, because their other head coach left to Michigan State after that really, really great run. So that one's going to be the tough one, but that's one of the ones I have pegged down as a potential win.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, I had them losing both, but I see it. Okay.
I'm going Cougar faithful. I might be, we get to that, what was that week 9, week 10 of the year, and we lose that game 55-0. Okay. Hey, I got it wrong. Like, what can you do? I think they're going to give them a good game, and there's a good chance that they may end up on the right side. I trust in Jimmy right now.
Okay.
What about you, Joel? What are you thinking on the season?
What you got?
Yeah. What do you got, Joel?
I was going to say, I said 7-5. I mean, looking at it and coming from a place, I will admit, my knowledge of current activities with the movement of coaches is not there. I was like, but just purely looking at, this sounds bad, but just looking at like line to line, defensive line versus offensive line and vice versa. As I was looking at this list, I was like, I was looking at the Hog Mollies and I was saying, okay, Idaho, from what I can see in matchup, makes sense. They should be able to win that. As long as they stay consistent, as like Gavin was saying, it could be a blowout, but they should ask some questions if it's close. San Diego State as well, especially with the pickup of their own defensive tackle out there. I think that could work out pretty well. I think they would win that, and of course North Texas, Washington. I see it as a loss. I think they'll start off well. Would be my guess. Again, for whatever reason, looking at it from line position from that group. But I still have it as a loss. Colorado State was one that I said was going to be a win. And the little bit that I could see, although I imagine per matchup, most would say that it would be a loss. I do think they can win that out, but I have them losing both Oregon State games. I think it could be close at home. But I'll be honest with you, Gavin, I'm like I have a feeling from the little bits that I watch from a lineman perspective, I'm like, it might just be too much.
Oregon State threw a lot of money at players this year.
That's fair.
Backed by a computer chip company owner. I don't know if you guys knew that. Their manufacturing's down in the Palouse area, so they have actually pretty good financial backing. And I mean, Colorado State, like, that should be a win. Jimmy beat them last year at South Dakota State, so I mean, he's got their number. But yeah, those. I don't know how we're going to do against Ole Miss, Virginia.
I will go back and just talk between North Texas and JMU. Those are going to be very tough battles.
Yeah,
those guys are very good. JMU is going to be tough. North Texas is going to be tough, and not a lot of people give them credit. But man, just watching them play, they're going to be tough. Absolutely, no doubt about it.
And maybe I'm the more optimistic looking at this, but just looking at schedule teams, kind of. Chad, you might be looking at game day at Ole Miss. Like I could see us going 5-0 going into Ole Miss. And I could feel some college game.
They did give us the early time slot. They did give us the early time slot, so maybe
Hey,
they're prepping that. You never know.
What are we talking
And-
about here?
right. And so I think UW, you know, they're still. I think Jed's still kind of figuring his stuff out, trying to get his quarterback solidified, and kind of that team. I think there's just a lot of kind of that. I mean, again, the transfer really allows you to kind of quickly fill in things, but I'm feeling good about potentially looking at. I would say we're going into Ole Miss either 5-0, maybe 4-1. That second half, conservatively, I would say we're probably splitting Oregon State, and then I'd like to say we're 5-1 on the front end and maybe 3-2 on the back end. And so we're looking at that 8-4 record. The one thing I wish I would have had the numbers is, what did Vegas have us every year and what did we end up? I always feel like we're always good to bet the over. I don't think we've had many years, probably in the last decade and a half, where we were under what we projected. And even with some of the tumultuous, 8-0 starts to losing 4 straight, like we're still beating the numbers. So I'll be curious, and again, I think these, like you said, that Idaho game will be interesting. I think I saw someone predicting us to go, I think it was a 31-14 or 31-17 game. I hope it's a little bit better than that, but I think that San Diego State game will be pretty telling. Gavin, as you mentioned, that, first FBS game, will be kind of an idea of how we kind of deal with the environment. So, before we kind of wrap up, what's kind of your last thoughts on this team right now, kind of going into the year?
I mean, it's going to be a lot of new faces. It's going to be not just the fans learning, it's going to be the players learning how they play together. So I feel like from the top down, I feel like we have great leadership. Players are giving, great feedback on what they're receiving from the coaches. It says a lot to a guy like Angel Johnson, our running back, who had money to go elsewhere, stuck around in Pullman, followed Jimmy to Pullman, actually. So I think there's a lot of good things happening right now. Looking forward to the season. I'm in the same camp where, I feel like we could start out really hot, and it's just when we have those back-to-back games going down to Tennessee and going down to Virginia, what those miles do for us the second half and how we perform from there. But overall, good vibes. I would take the over at 6 wins at least.
Yeah, I'll also say that, and again, I'm being very optimistic at 8 wins. I understand where I'm at, and that we may not get to what I'm kind of maybe not projecting, but I guess hoping for. I'm going to go ahead and just say I'm speaking it into existence more so than anything else. But I think it's optimistic to say that 5.5 that Vegas may have put down. I think it's safe to say that they end up with at least 6 wins, and just kind of getting into the season. I'm excited to see a new style of offense with having somebody who comes from the air raid. It could mix for bad things, right? Maybe it just doesn't fit very well. But also now you have a little bit of air raid, and you also have a good running back game. You have a really good balance potentially. That's if Danny Freund and the rest of the coaches have kind of latched on to the tradition of Wazoo, taking on some of the players that have come from the air raid offense, mixing it with what they were really known for at South Dakota State. And you could see that cohesiveness really take off, or it could potentially, cause some problems. But you have some good backup quarterbacks. The 4 guys that are mentioned there, I think all 4 of them could be starters somewhere at the FBS level, somewhere. It may not be in the Power 4, but it could be somewhere at the FBS level. And it's nice to know that we have 4 of those guys behind, or 3 of those guys, behind Zevi if things just go haywire.
Nice.
Joel?
Well, and not to pick on you guys, coming from the, at least right now, the potentially least biased person when it comes to Wazoo, I'm positive as well. I mean, it's the bits that I'm seeing with the people that they brought in and the film that I've seen, it is impressive. I think that if they are truly bought in, as it starts to seem, there's a lot. I think they're going to shock some people. I mean, I was telling Gavin earlier, there were some folks that, as I watched film, I mean, my expectations, I was already thinking I was already keeping it high with those that were coming from South Dakota State. But watching them in their championship game, players like Caleb Frankel, I think, him, I think Colby Humphrey, I think Tucker Large. I think there's a lot of those tweeners or like safeties and others that are going to wow some people, not just, in terms of being consistent, like, being able to complement each other within defense, but honestly, I think they're going to be some game changers. I think they're going to wreak havoc. I think they're going to affect the turnover rate for the team. And I think the more confident that they can become as a defense will directly impact the offense. So, I mean, I am starting to sip the Kool-Aid as well, but I will say from that stance, I think it will be positive. I think I would still say easy, betting over 600 for them. Yeah.
Love it. Noel, you take it away.
Love it.
I think I'm a little bit. I think I'm looking at kind of from Gavin's point of the optimism of, I love to see the 8 wins, but quite frankly, I wouldn't mind seeing 6 and 6, but having competitive losses, especially thinking the longevity of this team. I think Rodgers is a guy that's going to stick around. I haven't found him to be a guy that BS's. I don't think that's the cut of cloth he's from. And so, I say that now, and what happens in 10 months. But no, I think there's something brewing here, and I'm really excited to see kind of how the season goes and kind of onward. So I mean, like I said, I'm shooting for that 8-win mark, but maybe just because I've seen what Vegas puts us at and what we've seen to kind of meet the expectation and slightly exceed it, even when we have these kind of rough second halves. But one way or the other, it's going to be a ride, and I'm going to enjoy it, and enjoy the 3 of you guys on the ride with me. So
good to be.
For Up West Sports, we got Gavin, Chad, Joel. I'm Knowles. Win or lose, go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.